Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
So let's talk about cyber attacks, right? That can be a big thing. To me, at this present moment in time, I feel like it's the biggest threat. I feel like a crashing economy is the biggest underlying threat ongoing. Right. But I think at this very moment, as we keep poking the bear with Iran and you know, honestly, we keep pissing off China and everybody else.
Everybody really
is the scariest thing. Now, a cyber attack, you got to realize we use the internet and AI to control everything. I mean, everything, right? I mean, everything is run by PLCs because they're so efficient. We can get better energy efficiency and control things just precisely and beautifully. And it controls our water treatment plants, our energy systems, our, you know, that power grid, right? How everything connects and changes, and we monitor everything. And think of the internet as orders, right? When you order something from Amazon, imagine if Amazon dropped out. There's only 3 companies control 90% of all internet hosting. So there was a big attack on Amazon Web Services a while back, and it took down like a third of, you know, everything and it was for like a half a day or something, but it's kind of a big deal, right? And that was like websites, right? But all your shipping and stuff like that, it's all integrated and it's all connected. You know, that on demand, well, it's because it knows when you scan stuff at the grocery store, oh, I need to order more of this. Well, if that stuff all stops working, it comes to a crashing halt. And we've all, like, everybody kind of talked about cyber attacks and cyber threats and you know, how bad that would be. And it was a big thing. And we were kind of scared of it like 5, 6 years ago, 7, because I was looking on YouTube, right, for like recent information. And everything's like, oh, 10 years ago, everybody did this. But the world has changed. The world has gotten a lot more complicated, and the villains and bad actors have gotten a lot more complicated. And there are whole countries that are down for destroying you with cyber attacks. Kevin, thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, we've got some major threats. China, Russia, Iran. But, you know, there's a million other like private organizations that have ill intent, right?
Right.
So China, we'll start with China. China is conducting an extensive state-sponsored campaign of cyber espionage and prepositioning against the United States and its allies. And by prepositioning, what I mean is they're infiltrating utility companies and setting up so that they can access and have future access to it so that they can use it when they want to, you know, when they decide. So they're prepositioning themselves with electric companies, with internet providers, with water companies, so that they can start turning things off when they want to. So they're not causing damage. That's not the intent. The intent is to get in position to cause damage in a coordinated manner.
To just have that tool of, oh, I can hit that button and their water is going to, not be flowing. Or,
right.
I mean, it's more likely your water treatment is not going to keep working, or something like that, where, there are so many things that they can just cause disruptions. Kevin had turned me on to a novel called Cyberstorm that I was just listening to, and they were in New York City, and they basically just sent a text to all the phones saying the water is bad, don't drink it. And nobody kind of knew where it came from, but New York City was like, oh crap, if it's bad, maybe we should shut it off and stop, putting people at risk. So they shut the water off, but it was the middle of the winter and the pipes actually froze because the water wasn't moving. When it's stagnant, water freezes when it's cold as hell outside. And New York sometimes is cold as hell outside. But so something like that, and then the pipes burst, and then you have problems.
Yeah, then you can't even turn the water back on.
Because now you got a bunch of leaks everywhere. And then, so something as simple as sending a text could do something bad. But also all the systems are integrated with PLCs and that kind of stuff. But so China has, what do we call it? A hacktivist group? Is that where we're going?
Yeah.
People who are out there scoping it out. And basically it's state sponsored, some rogue groups. You know how China is big on, we're not associated with them.
Right.
It's kind of like Iran and Hezbollah. And
right.
You're like, well, they're not Iran, but are they? And so you get the idea. So anyway, there's a group called Volt Typhoon.
Right.
Kevin, you might know them as Insidious Taurus.
They've got a couple of names, right?
The Vanguard Panda. Or how about the Bronze Silhouette?
Okay. All the same thing.
All the same thing. They're China's cyber time bomb, if you will. They've been active since 2021. And basically, we've kind of really known about them since 23 as a major concern. But basically, their core strategy, they call it living off the land, using legitimate built-in tools for stealth, not like malware, whatever. Like they're like, oh, I just got this guy's password and I kind of moved in and I set up a bunch of my accounts. So even if they find my account and close it down, I got a bunch of,
I can access it.
Jim Bob, Kevin, I'm Uncle Mike, I'm all these people who can log in. You got to, it's whack-a-mole, right? You got to find the right one to get me out. And the thing is, honestly, it's probably even more sophisticated than that, but they're basically entrenched in the system. And that's a big thing. So they're targeting critical infrastructure sectors, communications, energy, transportation, water, wastewater, supporting things that, like I said, just, grocery stores, supply chain, your Walmart shipments, right? Any of this stuff that keeps our country going, and they're just getting in there and they're laying dormant. And we know they're doing that. And that's pretty terrifying, Kevin. It raises an eyebrow. I would say that.
Yeah. I know that there's a lot of water systems that you and I get our water from that are connected to the internet, where I could go log online and make adjustments to a water treatment facility, right? And that's
Kevin,
convenient.
If you were in China, could you do that?
What's that?
If you were in China on vacation,
I could do it from anywhere in the world.
All right. It turns out that's how the internet works.
That's right. Okay. So,
all right.
So what they're actively targeting and maintaining access to U.S. infrastructure. Now let's talk about Volt Typhoon. That's a different typhoon. This is a
There's a lot of typhoons going on.
This is a telecoms attack. So it's a major breach of U.S. telecommunication firms, allowing interceptions of communications of high-level political figures, including Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Well, they don't have like security clearances or anything. Those guys. Good. Okay. 2022 to 2025, we know this was going on. Salt Typhoon. Like you said, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, access to all call records, metadata, wiretap system, communication of high-profile leaders, like you just said. Salt Typhoon was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And there's actually a company in Israel, because people are like, oh, this doesn't, this kind of thing is the rare exception, right? That's how it is in your mind, or that's what we tell ourselves to just feel safe. Well, there's a company out of Israel called Pegasus, and Pegasus they offer a service that you can buy like a subscription, monthly, pay for the software. You know how it is. And they can access any cell phone guaranteed anywhere. That's pretty terrifying. So if that exists, and they're like, well, we don't license it to countries that are bad. And they're like, well, who are the bad ones? Like Saudi Arabia, are they bad? No, they're good. They're on the good list. But they do all kinds of human rights violations according to, the way people
everybody
view the world. Right. And then they're like, well, yeah, but they're only allowed to use it when they're investigating a crime.
Right.
But they could call anything a crime because
they're
the government. And you're like, wait a minute. So I'm just saying the access exists. That's my big point there. I had a little more on China. Let me see if I can dig into this. Here we go. China linked operations. So yeah, there's that Volt Typhoon. They're all really pretty terrifying. I mean, the thing is that it goes in stealthily, right? They're grabbing the diagrams, the functioning key stuff, so they can go study it. Now, I actually, this is what I do, is work with like PLCs, programmable logic. That's what PLCs are, is programmable logic controller, right? So on the simplest level, think of maybe a smart home, right? And if you had a home where you could kind of control everything from your Wi-Fi, that's not like really how, PLCs, I mean, it's controlled by PLCs, but you're using your cell phone becomes an HMI, a human machine interface, right? Like a little keyboard. And you can say, I want the lights to turn on at 5 a.m. to wake me up. And I want to wake up to nice soothing music that plays something. And I want my toaster to pop. Well, if you do all these things and, your toast pops out in the morning and your generator kicks on and your everything else, it's all controlled by PLCs. And now think of it even bigger. So like I work in a big factory, right? And when we turn on the machine, I want an engine block to show up somewhere. And when it arrives and makes my part present switch, then I want that the big slide next to it with drill bits to move forward and drill holes and go until they're at the switch that says, hey, you reached the proper depth. And then I'm going to return back. And then I can say, all right, everything's unclamped and ready to go. And now you can lift up and move to the next station. Now think of how intricate that is. Now I could make any kind of change to just destroy stuff, right? You could just say, because that's really what that whole Stuxnet thing was that the US did to Iran, was they said, hey, you know how these things, they spin really fast. What if they went really, really fast and things went out of control? Or what if they started spinning the other way? Or, and that's the kind of idea, right? You can make things end very badly. and destroy infrastructure very quickly. And that's always one of the things of that we fear with China is that maybe they would, if they went after Taiwan and we tried to get in the way, it kind of gives them leverage over us. I guess that's how it looks.
Right. Right. Now, another issue that China was involved with was hacking and breaching the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control.
I feel like that's important.
Yeah, it's important. And they basically just have the list of everybody that's working outside of the United States for the Treasury Department inside the United States.
And that's the thing, right? If you know people, right, and you could manipulate assets, like think of this, right? So if somebody was able to access your cell phone, maybe turn on the camera or maybe just turn on the microphones and listen to your conversations, could they get leverage to blackmail you? And maybe not blackmail you, but maybe out of 100 guys, would there be anybody who did anything a little bit shady that they maybe wouldn't want to go out to the public? I mean, is that possible, Kevin?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all sorts of people
that might happen. I mean, it could.
A lot of people are blackmailable. You know, a lot of people are into shady shit and they think nobody knows about it. But you know, it's easy to get some information on people, certain people.
And the thing is, like, it doesn't even have to be big crimes. There are things that are just embarrassing, right? Like you don't want to know that I'm into some kind of bondage thing or, whatever, right?
Bimboification. That's the one that's going on right now. You get big balloons and blow them up and put them in your shirt and wear short shorts.
Really?
And record yourself.
That's a thing going on?
Yeah, that Christine Ohm's husband was all into that. And there's a bunch of pictures out now of him. And makes you wonder, did she know about it? And could people use that to blackmail her into doing certain things that she wouldn't normally do?
Like be a Republican.
Well, I mean, who knows?
I don't know, right? Like anything could happen. All right. So there's other countries out there, right? It's not just China that's kind of shady. It turns out Russia is a little questionable.
That's right.
Let me see if I have something on Russia. Russia had a big thing called the Solar Winds supply chain attack. And this was in late 2020. Actually 2020, 2021. And they basically inserted malware in the SolarWinds Orion software updates. 18,000 organizations, though, use this. So now you have malware, and that included like federal agencies, as Kevin mentioned, the Treasury, Commerce, Energy, Department of Homeland Security, state justice departments, and elements of the Pentagon. Microsoft, because nobody uses Microsoft, right? If you got into Microsoft, you could be everywhere. Intel, Cisco. I mean, Cisco, they're everywhere, right? I mean, these are names, well, Cisco that you might not know as a household name, but believe me, industry knows it as a household name. This was one of the largest espionage campaigns in history. And it basically enables just huge supply chain risks, intelligence collection. I mean, they could do anything. And then you got, they had that Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack in 21.
I remember that. And that jacked up the price of fuel along the East Coast for a long time.
And a lot of healthcare stuff, got affected by that kind of stuff.
And didn't they just pay that?
Yeah, they're just
they had to pay it. There's nothing they could do to just get it back on.
I always wonder with the healthcare, they had a lot of that where, one, we were reassured as Americans that making all our healthcare records digital and everything online, that would just make it better. And we would never have to worry about it being taken or hijacked or collected
or leaked.
That was never, and also, I mean, to be honest, what if it was edited? What if, I get a certain prescription and it's 20 milligrams, but what if you kind of went the other way with it? Or if instead of a blood thinner, you went the other way, or my insulin went another way, or, whatever it is, right, that's wrong with you, they could really kind of mess things up. And one of the big things was just shutting it down. So those records were gone. That was a lot of the blackmail happening to these hospitals and small towns, banking information, just what if all the mortgages, are wiped out? Like nobody knows. I mean, from one bank, right? Maybe not everywhere, everything's separate with multiple companies. But imagine if 100,000 mortgages were to, disappear. That kind of would be a big deal. These things are huge and they really matter. Now, another thing that these big actors like China and Russia especially are into is manipulating public opinion.
Right.
This is all your weird posts on Facebook and whatever. You think that it's me putting all those pro-gun things out there, but it's
Russia.
Probably Russia. It's Russia.
I said I said 10 years ago, and I don't know about currently, but 10 years ago, 19 of the top 25 Christian websites in the United States were run by Russian cyber
hackers.
companies. Yeah.
It's weird. They're always like hot chicks too, right? The Christian websites. I mean, I'm just it's just a happy accident that they're the ones.
Yeah, it just happens to be, right?
I don't know, but it definitely shifts the political opinion. And the thing is, right? So maybe I can't win you over by being like, oh, if everybody had a machine gun, the world would be great. But I could maybe win you over by saying, everybody's coming after your machine guns. And, they're all saying that people with machine guns are crazy people. And then you're like, well, I just like machine guns because a lot of bullets and like pow, pow, pow.
Right. Right.
And, hey, I'm the victim here, right? That's,
there was a big push. I remember there's a big push. Everyone's saying that Obama was going to get your guns and he was going to, pass all this legislation outlawing everything. He actually, 8 years, did not pass any federal gun regulations. But the internet would have you believe completely opposite of that,
Exactly. Now, one or the other, like you're wondering, like, Chuck, how much of a threat is this? Like, is this really a big deal? Do I need to be scared? And the answer is yes. I mean, it really comes down to that. So basically, the FBI, like, nobody knows how many cyber attacks there are every year or whatever, but the FBI can confirm that they had in 2025 over 1 million complaints of reported losses adding up to $21 billion. That's a 26% jump from the year prior, and basically 2,800 reports a day. And that's people who call the FBI. Like, I can tell you that I've had my bank account, where I had fraudulent charges. I didn't call the FBI for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And say, oh, I just called my bank and I'm like, handle it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. We don't give a shit. We'll just like give you a new card and whatever. That $100, we won't even. So my point is, those numbers might not even be hitting the stats. Now, there is a chance that my bank might report at the end of the year, Bank of America or something might be like, hey, the FBI just wanted to let you know we had 1,000 hits or whatever on our. Yeah, I don't really know how that works, the reporting, but I can tell you that it's not good and that there is tons of stuff going on as far as like cyber attacks, and it is all the time. It's real and it's relevant, and it could be a lot bigger. Like, you really need to be thinking about that whole China thing, like, to just map everything out for no apparent reason. If nothing else, like, even if it wasn't something that was going to come to fruition or be a real thing, the leverage they have of, hey, don't mess with us because I could.
We can't.
because we can.
Right.
It's like, hey, I have a bunch of nukes, behind me, and I have a button here.
Right.
But if you hit that button, just know everything goes down, because I've been mapping that shit like crazy. And that's something you need to be terrified about. Now, what if somebody in the White House decided, hey, I want to start like a rogue war with like Iran?
Right.
Would a country like that be an issue? You're
Yeah.
thinking,
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Iran. So recently, the U.S. intelligence agencies issued urgent warnings to private sector companies.
see if I have this. I might have some notes on that. Hang on.
Now, Iran's been targeting campaigns against U.S. organizations have recently escalated in response to hostilities between Iran and the U.S. and Israel. So the stuff that's been going on the past 15, 20 years is really ramped up now during the war. They're trying to implement these things that they've been planning and mapping out. Now, Iran is not China.
No.
It's not as sophisticated as Russia. It's not
But-
sophisticated as a lot.
Yeah. So that's the thing is with Iran is not China, but let me stop you there and say China and Iran are kind of working out some deals right now, because you know who likes to get oil is China. And you know who can kind of control the oil right now? Iran. And it makes them kind of like want to get together, and they're actually working some deals right now. Maybe there'd be a connection. So maybe if Iran was like, hey, I'd really like to stick something to America because they're kind of pissing me off right now. And China might be like, hey, we have some insight that might be able to help you. I don't know if there's like a language barrier or if they'd be able to get somebody to talk to each other, but they'd figure it out, is my guess. Kevin, I'm small-minded. I'm just saying that,
All right. So Iran, now we talked about this a little bit before. Just because an organization isn't directly associated with the Iranian government doesn't mean that it's not working in their interests, right? So Iran-linked hackers are exploiting vulnerabilities in key software systems at U.S. water and energy providers. So this is what we talked about with China, but they're actively trying to disrupt energy and water systems in the United States.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the other major things that they're targeting is the programmable logic controller that you're talking about, PLCs.
PLCs.
Those are
think Alan Bradley.
Complex computerization systems used to automate manufacturing processes. So they're targeting private companies to damage, production in the United States.
So they're going after small companies. They're blackmailing companies. For example, things like so there's the Stryker Corp wiper attack in March 26th, which you're thinking, hey, wait, that's just a month ago. Iran-linked group Handala, tied to the Ministry of Intelligence. So again, one of these like sub-actors, but really it's the government, claimed a destructive attack, wiping systems at the medical tech firm, exfiltrating data and disrupting manufacturing and shipping. Well, that stuff matters. When you disrupt the supply of insulin or something going out to somebody, your blood pressure medication, it matters, right? Certain people, that's a big deal. Right. Tell me you don't get pissed off when you go to CVS and you're like, hey, my doctor said I needed this, and why isn't it here? And you're angry when it's a day or two. What if it's just not coming? Like,
what am I supposed to go the rest of my life without my Viagra prescription?
Kevin, you can't live like that. Nobody wants to live in that world, right? I don't know. It basically will escalate. and get it more and more out of control. And these people have so much leverage. And that's, I think, as a big picture, what you kind of need to take in is that we rely so much on computers and technology. And I got to say, now it's AI assisted technology, where it's just so integrated and so technical that on the individual level, a lot of us couldn't process all that data that fast to recover. And what I mean is, we have really smart guys who can go in and look at the code and be like, oh, look, here's what's going on. But if you had 100 problems in your one system, it's going to take that guy a little bit of time to recover from that, right? He's going to say, oh, look, there's been changes everywhere. I have to go over every line of code. Just to run one machine is usually about 800 pages of code. And I mean, I guess I could kind of scan through it and go through, but you're looking for just one little change. You know, what if that switch that is normally open and now is normally closed? Now, you know, to catch that is time. And there are people who are really sharp and they can go through and they can catch things. But we're so reliant. And I got to say, a lot of these things that are even critical, like electricity and water and sewer, you know, water treatment, that kind of stuff, these things are all exposed and we don't have a backup. Now, could we say, hey, look, I'll get on the phone and call, you know, down to the plant, hey, we need 1,000 cases of Coca-Cola at our grocery store. That's fine. You could maybe do that, but you're still re-inventorying everything. You're figuring it all out. The shipping, having that guy show up at random, you know, some random private trucking contractor to just show up on Tuesday and be ready to take your load before, you know, all that stuff that's sitting there, all the oranges go bad, whatever it is. That was always one of the supply chain things in like Atlas Shrugged or something. You know, they talked about, oh, all the oranges harvest came in, but the trains weren't there to take them. So they all just sit there and rot. That's a big thing, right? It all gets coordinated down to the, you know, exact minute. You know, when the wheat doesn't get, you know, shipped out, it matters. And that's the thing. Our whole infrastructure is so intertwined and, you know, necessary working together of all the parts that as long as it's good, everything's okay. But if you get one glitch in the system, then it can all kind of come tumbling down. And any last thoughts on basically infrastructure with that? Now we're going to shift and we're going to go into a part 2 and we're going to talk about AI. But any last thoughts on?
No, I mean, I think that's everything. I've got on Iran specifically. I think the big thing here is that Iran has been activating all the plans they've been putting in place now. So now's the time to worry about Iran. Maybe next week is the time to worry about China.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's really what prompted me, you know, to get into this was you know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, Iran's a threat to the Middle East, but they're not really a threat to us. You know, we don't really think about it. And then on the bigger scale, they are a threat when it's cyber and it's just reach out and touch someone and like that. If you appreciated this, like, subscribe, leave comments, tell us what your fear with AI taking over is. We'd love to hear about it. And with that, I'd say stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Start the spring season off right with a new pair of Tecovas Western boots. Handcrafted and over 200 steps from genuine leather, they're built to last and feel broken in the moment you put them on. From cowhide to exotic leathers, Tecovas blends timeless style with all-day comfort. Pair them with premium denim, Western shirts, and accessories for an effortless, polished look. Shop quality Western goods in-store or online at tecovas.com.